Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to another episode of Live It Up. This is the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. And today, we're doing the show live from my living room. And as you can see, it's holiday time. We've got some decorations up. So welcome to my home. This is the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level, like I said. And we are going to be covering topics such as health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life that really feels good, because that's what we all want. We want to feel good. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson. Amy is out today, but we're going to be talking with Mr. Mike Steele, who is the director at the Lake Chelan Chamber of Commerce and is also serving as the representative for the 12th legislative district since being elected in 2017. So we're going to have a nice chat with Mike. We're going to talk about what's working well, what are some of the challenges, and really what got him into the different roles that he's into. He's a really neat individual, so I want you to get to know him as well. But before we do that, I want to remind you that if you have a question that you would like us to answer on or off the air, you can email me directly at Fletcher Ellingson, at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com, and I'll be happy to get back to you. And if you're suffering, if you're struggling, I want you to know that there are solutions. You don't have to suffer, and especially you don't have to suffer alone. There are solutions and things you can do so you can move forward powerfully. In fact, visit me at my website, fletcherellingson.com. I have all sorts of free resources there that you can begin to use, and so you can begin to shift your mindset and begin creating a feel-good life, that life that you have always been wanting. All right. Now, before we get to our chat with Mike, I'm going to get to one of our emails here. And let's see what it says today. I've got it written down here. It says, Fletcher, why does everything take so much work? Why can't things just go smoothly once in a while? I've been working diligently to get my business off the ground. The amount of paperwork and organization that is required on top of the service I offer feels overwhelming. Just when I feel like I'm getting caught up or something else, just when I feel like I'm getting caught up, something else happens. A new policy or guideline that I have to follow, a repair, an unexpected bill. So it seems like it's never ending. I look at my competitors and so many of them are thriving. I really feel inadequate at times and like I'm not cut out for this. I'm great at what I do as a massage therapist, but the keeping up with the business part of things and attracting new clients is hard. Any suggestions? Signed, Q. Well, first of all, Q, thanks for reaching out. Seriously, thanks for reaching out. As we say on this show all the time, people who reach out and ask for help are strong, and that means you're strong. So I totally get that you feel frustrated and overwhelmed, and you're really good at what you do, but everything else that goes along with having a business, such as the paperwork and the filing and compliance and marketing and acquiring clients, is challenging. It may not be in your wheelhouse, so to speak, but you can do it. And what I want you to really hear is this. A lot of people want success without having to go through what it takes to be successful. I'm going to say that again. A lot of people want to experience success without having to do what it takes to be successful. They want to skip past the hard stuff. They want to skip past the uncomfortable stuff. They want to skip past the challenge. They just want to get to the success, like the celebration, the victory. You mentioned as you look around at your competitors, they make it look easy, right? But I can assure you that the success that your competitors are having now is because they went through exactly what you're going through. They went through the unexpected challenges. They went through having to learn how to become a marketer. They went through having to learn how to become organized. They went through having to learn how to deal with the IRS, and they went through all the unexpected challenges that arise when you wear the hat of a business owner. And I've been an entrepreneur for decades, and I can attest to that. You know, every time I've taken on a new skill, I've had this vision in my head about how I wanted it to be. And rarely, if ever, was it just easy? Did I just sail through it and become a master at it? I think of the years I spent practicing sleight of hand. I'd see a new trick or a new sleight or a new presentation, and I wanted to be able to do that seamlessly. But it required of me hours and hours and hours and hours of practice and performing then in front of people. When I lived in Seattle, I would go down to the street corners of Seattle, and I would have my table and my hat for tips. And I was one of those guys that you'd see out there, just busting out card tricks and getting an audience around you and entertaining this audience. And then 15 minutes or 10 or 15 minutes, that audience would be gone, and I'd be getting a new one and practicing. And let me tell you, my performances didn't always go well. I'd mess up lots of times, but it was messing up that allowed me to fine tune, to tweak my performance, to tweak my skill set until I finally became extremely proficient at sleight of hand and entertaining people in that capacity. So you're going to do well, and you're on the right path. And this is the entrepreneur's journey. And so you're in good company. My last few words for you are less comparison and more visualization of who you're becoming. Step into that person you want to become. And we'll give up on the comparing ourselves to each other. All right? There's plenty of business for everyone. And like you said, you're good at what you do. And now you're just going to get better and better at the things that don't come as easily. I know you can do this, Q. Stay in action. I believe in you. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back to talk with Mr. Mike Steele. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Live It Up. Thanks for being here today. And I'm excited to talk with Mr. Mike Steele. He is the director of the Lake Chelan Chamber of Commerce. He's also serving as the legislative representative for District 12. So Mike, thanks for being on the show today. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, you bet. We're going to dive right into the questions. But first, I always like to start off with finding out what's going well in your life. Like what are a couple of wins in your personal life or your business life? We always want to start with something that feels good, right?
Yeah, well, thank you. That's a great way to start for sure. I've been so grateful for the, through all of this pandemic, I've gotten to spend more time with family because I'm not traveling as much as I would normally be. I'm taking meetings from home. And so the commute, to see family and that is much, much shorter. And so that's a big win. And it's a time in my parents' lives, especially when they're getting older. And I just really enjoy the time we get to spend together.
Good. Right on. Yeah, I totally can appreciate that. I've known you in the community for a lot of years, and I was kind of reflecting on that today, knowing that we were going to do the interview. And I remember for a number of years, you were the lifeguard, one of the lifeguards, right, down in Manson. And when I was a younger parent, you were watching over my kids there, and I thought, gosh, you know what? And now he's the director of the chamber. Now he's working at our state government. You've kind of always been overseeing the people and serving the people, right?
I grew up in a household where it was all about community and giving back to community and being involved in things that you really cared about. My mom still to this day serves on the Hospital Foundation. She was a founding member in 1981.
Oh, wow.
My dad was president of the Echo Valley Ski Hill for 10, 12 years. I can't remember. My parents and my family have always just been committed to community. And this place, I'm sure you're aware, Fletcher, my family has been here 125 years now. And wow. We care so deeply I care deeply for my whole district, but obviously my roots are here in the Lake Chelan Valley. And I just love this community. And so anything I can do to help, I try.
Yeah, well, it's very evident in how you live your life. So first question, when did you have this inkling of like, you know what, I think I'd like to be involved in politics?
Well, I've always been enamored with it, quite honestly. I was involved in student government in high school. I was my class president every year until I became the student body president my senior year. Then when I went to college, I got degrees in business administration and political science. And I was involved, I was on the student senate at college. I was involved in student government. I was the vice president of the Residential Hall Association. So it's just been, I just love it. I mean, I think it's a great way. I've always found politics to be actually a very noble profession if you're doing it for the right reasons. And for me, it's always been about making a difference, a positive difference in people's lives. So what can I do to make the lives of my community members better? And if I have influence in that process, what can I do to make sure that folks are winning, that folks are seeing better outcomes in their lives if I'm involved?
I love that. Great answer. And did you have aspirations of working at the state level then?
So immediately out of college, a little known fact, I was an intern in the White House and worked in political affairs. And so that was a really public-facing job, an incredibly fast-paced, fun job, where you got to basically make arrangements for the president and his cabinet members for interactions with people all over the country. And then I did economic analysis on a daily basis for the president. And you just it gets in your blood, and you realize just how fast-paced it is. You got to be on your toes. You got to be thinking all the time. And I just love that. And so I knew after being a political staffer, I was like, that is not for me. I do not want to work for people. I want to be making the difference. And not to say that political staffers aren't making a difference. They are. I mean, the federal government is really run by 20-somethings. But I just really wanted to come back to my home state and see what I could do to make a difference, where I knew the people, where I knew I'd see these people on a daily basis, and I knew I could help them.
Yeah.
And that's very impactful.
Yeah, you have I assume our community holds you to a high level of accountability. I mean, because you are visible, right? I mean, you walk down the street and you're going to see you. So you're you have a lot of accountability. So.
Yeah. And I think you should take that seriously. I mean, people put a lot of trust in you to make decisions. And I go back to always coming from a place. I like to say that I strategize with my head, but I make policy with my heart, and I think that is what people expect out of me. And that's, what our district, I find in the 12th legislative district, we are innovative, we are resilient, and we are kind people. And I think that's what I try to exude when I'm working in the halls of Olympia or anywhere else, is to be an ambassador for my home district, and to share the attributes that I think make this place so great with those folks in Olympia.
I love it. So next question for you. You've had a lot to contend with, obviously, this year. And how do you manage to get this all done? I mean, you're the director of the chamber, you're working for the state and as a representative, and then you got your personal life. Do you have a team behind you, or is this?
Oh gosh, I think I in both respects, yes, there are teams of people behind me working really hard as well. I'm very fortunate in the role with the chamber that I feel like we have a lot of community support. And again, this community I find to be innovative and creative in a lot of things we do. And so that part has been, it's very fulfilling, not easy. I would tell you that I've never been more exhausted in my life than I have been this past 12 months.
Yeah.
I've never been more concerned about anything in my life as much as I am about the people of this place. And then I have been in the last, 12 months, because I see the real suffering that's occurring. And there, again, a lot of people look to their leaders in hopes that something can change. And it's been challenging to know there's no playbook for any of this, right? So what do you do? And how do you help? And those are always the questions that keep me up at night. What can we be doing more of? What do people need? Where are the highest and greatest needs right now? And how do we address them? And so that's what's really kind of kept me busy over the last 10, 12 months.
Yeah, for sure. I get it. So you've got a built-in team there at the chamber, sounds like, and which is great. Hold on, let me just check the time here. We may have to go to a commercial break. Yes, we're going to go to a commercial break, folks, but we're going to be right back. And the next question I have for Mike is, what have been the silver linings out of all of this, if any? So stay tuned. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. We are here with Mike Steele. We're talking about a lot of things. And my next question for him regarding our community, the state, is have there been any silver linings that have come out of all of this, or unexpected blessings, if you will?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's how we're all trying to make it through the day, right? We're always trying to look for something, the positive side of all of this frustration and sometimes depression and anxiety that we're experiencing as a collective, human race in a global pandemic. I think that for us in our little communities here in the 12th Legislative District, I've been consistently reminded over the last 10 months how great a place it is that we live. Because I see people pulling together. I see people helping each other through crisis. I see people still trying to plan for future and hope for future. And, I just visited a little clinic in one of my communities here in the 12th Legislative District. And I'm always amazed at how a little town of 500 is thinking about what they can do to, revamp their clinic and work for the healthcare and the betterment of their communities. And it's inspiring to me to see what people are doing and what they have done to help one another in all of this. And just being on a show like this, where it's all about that positive perspective, I think that's what we can do for one another, is extend a ton of grace right now, right? Because not everyone has done that. I mean, we certainly see true colors of folks as they try to deal with this. Yep. But I say we exhaust the kindness in all of us and try and move forward in that way. And I certainly have seen that happen in my legislative district.
Yeah, I love what you said just now too about you're inspired by people's continuing to plan for the future, right? They haven't thrown in the towel, like they're still planning. Yep. So resilient. I love it. I want to ask you another question, switching gears. Since you've been in this political arena, and in this particular climate, I feel like a lot of people may feel like super taxed out and can I do anything? And as you've been so close to this, to the politics side of things, how I think a number of people feel a little bit powerless. Like, what can I do? How can I affect change? Having been on the other side of things, can an everyday citizen, what can they affect change? What can they do? And how do you recommend that they get involved?
Great question. I would just start by saying, don't lose hope. I think we have to remind ourselves as Americans that this system is ours, right? It belongs to us. And we have a responsibility to maintain that system, to fix that system, to adjust that system, to work with that system. And we have to be ever vigilant. I tell people all the time, I had a presentation with our Rotary Club several months ago. And I said, you have a responsibility not just to cast stones or disparaging things toward something you don't agree with. You have an obligation to get involved and change it yourself. And what I mean by that is I have hundreds of emails daily from people all over my legislative district. I represent 140,000 people. And, I am so amazed by the folks that are trying to stay engaged, and they do send emails and they do get responses. And, and we're here as representatives of the people. I take that very seriously. I mean, I tell people all the time, my door is always open to you. My email is always open to you. And it doesn't matter if we don't agree on every single topic. It's my job to represent you, and it's my job to hear you. Mm-hmm. And it's not my job to tell you what to do. I'm supposed to listen to you and then cast my vote accordingly. So, that's sometimes people forget this is representative government. And it's hard when all you see sometimes is the negative aspects of politics. And as I said earlier, I find politics to be a noble profession, but it has to be practiced in a professional and reasonable and logical way that's kind to the people you're representing and responsive to the people you're representing. So that's what I think about it.
Yeah. While you're speaking that, I was like totally agreeing with what you're saying, and it reminded me of the musical Hamilton. I was just curious, have you seen that musical?
I have. I got to see it in person a year ago, and it was awesome. I actually saw it in London.
Oh, right on. Yeah, what a treat. It's funny how things can bring you closer to certain topics, and that production made me so proud to be an American, and it gave me so much insight into how our country is formed. I know it sounds kind of silly, but I feel like I learned more from that than I did, in my coursework in like high school or something, right?
Yeah. Well,
and
I think it's interesting, that we have to remind ourselves about the principles of the founding fathers, right? And
yeah,
I'm reminded constantly of the phrase, in order to form a more perfect union, not implying that we were perfect, but working always toward a more perfect union. And that is I think that we all have to hold ourselves to that standard.
yeah,
And remember that, sometimes it's easy to lose sight of the humanity on the other side of an issue, because, we may never agree on certain issues, but we can never lose sight of the humanity that we must share, and that we do have the opportunity of sharing. And that's why I say, my operations in Olympia, people always ask me, is it really contentious? Is it really tough? And I'm like, well, no, it's not at all. I mean, I speak to people with respect, and in turn, they speak to me with respect, and I treat them with a leaned ear. I mean, I lean in and listen to what they have to say. And then at the end of the day, we may not agree, but at least they know that I've heard their side of the story. They've heard my side of the story. And my job is to do what I think is, people elect you for a reason. You're not just sent there to push a button. They hope that you have some of the shared attributes that they do when they elect you, that you're going to go and represent them fairly and effectively. And that's a role that all politicians need to be reminded of often, all the time.
Yeah, really good stuff. I appreciate that. My next question, and this might be our last one, is what's next for our valley? There's a lot of people who have lived here and who come here on a regular basis are like, man, this is gonna be like Bend, Oregon, or Tahoe, or with sprawl. And so where do you see our community in the next 5 years?
Well, it's a great question. And I look at it with a couple different perspectives, as you noted throughout the interview. But I would first go back to my roots here in the Valley, because my family, like I said, has been here. We were one of the 5 founding families in Lake Chelan. And, I'm always so excited to share the Valley with people, because I love the place so much, right? I mean, I wouldn't be leading the chamber for 15 years and I wouldn't be representing the people in Olympia if I didn't really love this place. And I do. And every time I drive to my parents' home from my home, that drive along the lake is just stunning. And I think, we have to remember that we are a gem in the world. As someone who's had fortunate opportunities to travel all over the globe, I choose to make this place my home because it's just stunning. And other people want that experience too. So how do we strike the balance of sharing our home and maintaining our community spirit and that small town life that we all enjoy? It's a delicate balance for sure. And we debate things all the time around that balance. I would just say progress can't be stopped, but it can be focused. And so how do we want to, growth is inevitable. I have to remind people that we don't have a gate at the pass. There's no way to stop people from buying up the properties they want to own. But how do we help those folks, get involved and engaged in a community? And, I've met some incredible people that have been here just, a few short years and are bringing a ton of great volunteerism, a ton of knowledge, a ton of innovation to our little valley that we wouldn't have otherwise. And so it's a careful craft for sure, but I think we can do it, and we're up to the challenge.
Yeah, and I think to echo what you said earlier, get involved, make your voice known or heard. Contact your representatives, and be part of the solution, right?
Yep, exactly. Be part of the conversation for sure.
Yeah, be part of the conversation. I like that a lot. Be part of the conversation. Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for. Sure, good to catch up with you, and I really appreciate what you are doing for our community and our state. And thank you for your service. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, and thank you to everybody who's contacted me and who's shared their concerns and their voices with me. I encourage you to continue to do that. And not to make too much of a shameless plug, Fletcher, but you can always contact my Olympia office directly at 360-786-7832. or email me at mike.steele@leg.wa.gov.
Perfect. All right. And now you know what it's time to do, folks. It's time to get out there, be a source of kindness, be a source of contribution. You do have something that this world needs, and I believe in you.